Welcome to Flashback, a recap of stories that made headlines during the week. Last Monday marked 1 week an Abuja-Kaduna-bound train was attacked by terrorists. And on that day, many passengers were killed, others injured, and scores kidnapped. A week after that incident, repair works continued, but residents want the government to find a lasting solution to tackle the surge of terrorism ravaging Kaduna State.
By terrorists who also opened fire on passengers. The NRC said 362 persons were documented to have boarded the train, while Kaduna government confirmed that 8 of them died. Injured survivors were evacuated to hospitals, and dozens of them have been discharged. For now, over 150 persons are yet to be found, going by statements by the NRC. President Buhari described the incident as a callous attack. And the vice president, during his visit to victims, explained that the terrorists are cowards only out to cause fear. The president later issued directives that the military ruthlessly deal with terrorists and rescue those kidnapped. But 7 days after, the victims still languish in unknown destinations with their abductors. Their loved ones now panic, especially after some of them received calls from the terrorists. Till today, train services remain suspended by the NRC. In a latest statement, it confirmed that at least 7 coaches have been repaired, re-railed, and moved to NRC stations. Some people who spoke to us are yet to recover from the shock of the attack. One of the victims promised never to use the train again. Others still consider it the safer alternative and can't wait for train services to resume.
It will be safe this time around because I believe the present administration, the government, have learned a lesson in terms of insecurity.
When you fix the train and then you address the security challenges.
The recent surge in terrorism has come as a rude shock to Governor Nasir El-Rufai. And on Thursday, he called for extreme actions against bandits who he believed now partner Boko Haram. Despite ongoing operations, security agencies have been called out for failure to stem the surge of banditry. The Inspector General of Police on Saturday deployed additional troops to the Kaduna-Abuja highway. The military are also enhancing their troops to effectively tackle threats.
Capacity building to enable them surmount emerging security challenges.
Oil theft remains a big business in Nigeria.
Apologies for that. Well, also on Monday, the Nigerian Navy began another operation in response to the level of crude oil theft in Rivers State and across the Gulf of Guinea. The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awal Gambo, performed the flag-off at the Navy jetty in Onne.
Oil theft remains a big business in Nigeria despite concerted efforts by security agencies like the Nigerian Navy to tackle the menace. But in keeping with its promise to intensify and sustain maritime presence, the Navy has flagged off another operation codenamed Dakata da Barawo, which translates to stop the thief in English. The objective is to ensure the economic prosperity of Nigeria by stopping illegal oil bunkerers who steal the nation's natural resources.
Let me start by...
According to the Navy, Nigeria suffers revenue losses of about $3 billion to crude oil thefts annually.
We have lost so much in terms of revenue, and from the reports we are getting, Nigeria is actually bleeding, and there is a need for us to bring this to a halt.
This latest offensive is expected to consolidate on the achievements of Operation River Dominance that was activated in January this year to identify and dismantle artisanal refineries.
The Nigerian Navy has engaged in this operation in order to, first of all, trace where the problem is. Secondly, track down those culprits that are causing this problem.
The NNPC is coming in to provide technical support to the Navy.
Seriously on NNPC's operations. So NNPC is really worried and reached out to the Nigerian Navy, and we're ready to support the Nigerian Navy in any way we can.
Operation Dakata da Barawo is scheduled to last for 3 months. But how much impact it would have on stabilizing the economy within that period remains to be seen.
On Tuesday, the directive of the federal government to telecos to disconnect subscribers who are yet to register and link their NIN to their SIM was implemented. And the decision caused confusion across the states as many Nigerians experienced difficulties in making calls. The government's directive was announced in a statement jointly signed on Monday by the Director of Public Affairs at the Nigerian Communications Commission, Ikechukwu Adinde, and the Head of Corporate Communications at the National Identity Management Commission, Kayode Adegoke. More than 125 million SIMs, according to the statement, have had their NINs submitted for linkage, verification and authentication, and NIMC has issued over 78 million unique NINs to date. And according to the NCC, at least 72.8 million subscribers risk being disconnected from telecommunication services following the latest directive. And still on Tuesday, the Independent National Electoral Commission directed all political parties to ensure their primaries are properly conducted in line with relevant laws. This was contained in a statement signed by INEC's National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye. Mr. Okoye warned that the electoral agency will not hesitate to disqualify parties in primaries that do not adhere strictly to the principles of internal democracy. He also advised parties to avoid contentious primaries that may lead to unnecessary lawsuits. Well, let's go on Wednesday, where the President, Muhammadu Buhari, signed an executive order that will ensure the implementation of the National Public Building Maintenance Policy. And the signing of the document preceded the weekly Federal Executive Council held at the Council Chambers of the State House in Abuja.
President Muhammadu Buhari signed Executive Order 11. This is the first time any government in Nigeria will make maintenance a national policy. The president says this critical policy will create jobs for small businesses, skilled laborers and artisans in the country. He also urged states and local governments to adopt this policy and begin to see maintenance as not just a culture, but a conscious driver of economic growth.
While it is true that our economy has been diversified and the non-oil sector is leading in terms of contribution to the gross domestic product, the maintenance and facility management component of the services sector is an opportunity that is waiting to be maximized.
Already, the impact of this maintenance policy will be felt at the new international terminals in Abuja and Port Harcourt, as the Federal Executive Council approved a contract to maintain the terminal buildings for 3 years.
The government has put up a program in place to ensure that all infrastructure is being maintained, and so that they will remain as they are, perhaps even more improved with regular maintenance.
The Federal Executive Council approved the establishment of 12 private universities. Also, the Ministry of Works and Housing got approval for the award of contract of the Kefi Nasarawa Total Road for the sum of 36.1 billion naira.
On that same day, the federal government eased the nationwide midnight curfew and limitation on gatherings, along with other restrictions imposed to curb the spread of coronavirus. The Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19 in a statement explained that the decision followed the reduced risk of importation of new variants, as well as the availability of vaccines and the increasing number of people vaccinated in Nigeria and globally. The committee said it arrived at the decision after a careful review of the country's response to the pandemic in view of the declining number of cases. The government said the social restriction recommendations were revised in line with the 3 established thematic areas, which are movement, industry and labor, as well as community activities. And on Thursday, the House of Representatives said it will probe the operational lapses by Nigeria's security agencies, which led to inadequate intelligence. It also called for the immediate suspension of the savings scheme of the National Hajj Commission over alleged lack of transparency and accountability.
Nigeria is in the throes of security challenges. Lawmakers say they will continue to seek lasting solutions to the wave of insecurity across virtually every part of the country.
As it's been happening for the past...
Dennis Idahosa is from Edo State. He says terrorism, kidnappings, killings, and all manner of vices happen due largely to lack of intelligence gathering among security bodies and 60 Pro.
Intelligence information has led to the colossal loss of lives and property across the country, particularly in the northeast and the northwest zone.
In a matter of urgent public importance, Aminu Mani from Katsina State calls for the suspension of the savings scheme of the National Hajj Commission.
Failure to tackle it will lead to corruption in the system and disregard for the extant law.
The House resolves to investigate the allegation. Lagos moved closer to having a federal medical center in Ibeju-Lekki as the bill, sponsored by Adebayo Balogun, passed second reading.
I rise to move a motion on a bill for an act to establish the Federal Medical Center in Ibeju-Lekki, Lagos State.
The legislators also called on the federal government to establish a sustainable policy that will phase out non-energy efficient appliances.
The exploitation of natural resources.
The ministers of Health and Women Affairs have a date with the House as it investigates the trend of cryptic pregnancies in recent times.
These impersonators refer to this fraud as cryptic pregnancy.
The predecessor and his successor have come to see Mr. President.
Sincerely apologize again for that. Well, let's move on to Friday, where it came the news that the Federal High Court in Abuja struck out 8 of the 15-count charge brought by the federal government against the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. Justice Binta Nyako held that in the instant preliminary objection application, counts 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 14 have not disclosed any offense by the defendant, while count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, and 15 show some allegations.
Justice Binta Nyako ruled on the validity of the charges brought against Nnamdi Kanu, striking out some, while pointing out that the other charges have weighty allegations. She noted that the trial of the defendant shall proceed on these charges not struck out. She also held that rendition for the purpose of a criminal investigation is allowed. In the instant case, there is a bench warrant on the defendant, and this makes him a fugitive before the court. The court also stated on the issue of proscription of IPOB, the case is still on appeal and the order prescribing the organization is still subsisting until it is vacated. Counsel to Mr. Kanu moved an application for his bail, submitting that until a person is tried and convicted, he should be allowed to walk free. On his part, counsel to the federal government, Magaji Labaran, urged the court to refuse the application, adding that Mr. Kanu had allegedly violated the earlier bail granted him. He urged the judge to be guided by her discretion vis-a-vis the circumstances of the case, and in the alternative, should order accelerated hearing on the matter so that the defendant can know his fate one way or the other.
The defendant, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, deserves to be granted bail.
About 8 counts appear to be similar, and those charges were struck out.
The court adjourned till 18th May for ruling on the bail application of Mr. Kanu.
And finally, on Friday, the former Speaker of the House of Reps led a delegation of APC leaders in Bauchi State to pay a courtesy visit to the APC's national leader, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, in Abuja. Yakubu Dogara said it will be easier for Bola Tinubu to build the nation given his track record of building men and infrastructure.
As the APC plans to hold its primary election, the Abuja residence of the national leader of the APC, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, has continued to play host to many chieftains of the party and volunteer groups.
From Bauchi State.
One of such are leaders of the All Progressives Congress from Bauchi State. This delegation is led by the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara.
Mr. Dogara, who was last seen in company of Asiwaju Tinubu when he visited Kaduna State Governor, describes the national leader as a man who has the political acumen and intimidating leadership features to pilot the affairs of the country.
If Nigeria is given to him, you can imagine what he can do to Nigeria, having built people. What is there in building infrastructure?
The former speaker also lauded the empathic trait of Asiwaju Tinubu towards states battling with security challenges.
On learning that tragedy involved loss of life and so many Nigerians were hurt in the process, he directed that it should be cancelled.
Other members of the delegation did not only show their solidarity for the presidential aspirant, they also sought his counsel in strengthening the party in Bauchi State.
With you at this helm of affairs in this country, things will be better.
APC in Bauchi is being chopped. It's dying, Your Excellency.
With good leadership, and that whatever decision you take must be binding on everybody.
It stresses the need for tolerance, endurance, peace, and unity in building a better country.
For us to have a common purpose, a direction, we have to tolerate people. We have to believe that.
The delegation is optimistic that the discussion at this courtesy visit will help strengthen and unite the APC family in Bauchi State towards the forthcoming general election.